Welcome to our Climate Wisdom live stream from COP28 Climate Change Conference in Dubai, UAE. We bring together delegates from the area of faith, civil society, scientists and policymakers to care, to share and to inspire. My name is Sonja Olsson and I'm the coordinator of Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative. And I will be your moderator here tonight in this conversation. We have three distinguished guests with us. A warm welcome to Maureen Goodman from Brahma Kumaris in the UK.
Thank you very much.
To Bishop Marika Markovic from Sweden.
Thank you.
And Laura Al-Mutairi from Kuwait,
Thank
a
you.
researcher from Kuwait.
Thank you.
A warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I will introduce you as we go along.
Yes.
Today we are starting the second week of the conference where more than 80,000 delegates are gathered. Many organizations have a new team coming for the second week. And for many of us, it seems like we have to restart the engine to come here for the second week. But we are also looking forward to another week of sharing, of learning, but also to see the outcome of COP, an outcome that will benefit everyone suffering from climate change and for benefiting the planet. But let me start to ask you guests, what is driving you to come to COP and what's your motivation to be here? And let's start with Marika. You are the bishop of the Diocese of Linköping. And actually I feel very happy to say this because I'm born in the same area in Sweden. So I feel very happy about that. But you have a long-standing engagement in the environmental issues. For example, you've been a member of Stockholm Municipality Council for the Sustainable Agenda 2030. And you've also been the Cathedral Dean in Stockholm. And you have published several articles on social justice. And you've been director of Stockholm City Diaconical and Social Mission. What makes you come to COP? What's your driving force?
I think there are two things, the very personal reasons and there are more professional reasons. I think the personal reasons, I think I share with many Swedes because Swedes are said to have the strongest spiritual experiences out in nature, you know, in the forests, by the sea, in the mountains. And at least that is how I grew up. I felt very related to the trees and to nature. And when I got my first salary, I signed up as a member in an activist organization for environmental issues. So it has followed me for 40 years, actually. But I've been working almost all my professional life with social issues in Sweden, homelessness, poverty, and social justice. But then I became a bishop this year in January. I was elected, and in the Diocese of Linköping, it has really been a strong engagement for the environmental and climate issues 30 years back, actually. Oh. Yeah, and we both have a spiritual tradition connected with this bracelet, where we pray for the nature every day, and many people carry this bracelet and even in our cathedral there is a path in the floor with the pearls of the spiritual pearls, which also is a prayer for human beings but also for nature. And as a bishop, the Church of Sweden is a very big church. We have 5.6 million members, and we have taken a roadmap for the climate and for the last 4 years, we are working very, very engaged to reach 3 goals. And that's why I'm here. The bishop meeting, we are 14 bishops in Sweden, and the bishops meeting want to be represented here. And the Church of Sweden has since many years got 4 places as observers here as a part of the World Council of Churches and ACT Alliance. So we have been coming here for a long time, and now I'm in turn to learn and to try to especially support our partners in the Global South and the minority people's rights.
Thank you. We will hear more about the work the Church of Sweden is doing later. And I'm very happy when you mentioned the Swedish strong connection to nature, because I'm Swedish, so I can recognize it. And it took me a long time to realize that not everyone has the same connection to nature as we have. I thought every human being had it, but it's not like that.
No.
Interesting.
Because we don't have historically, we don't have so big cities. Compared to Southern Europe, which have had big cities for maybe almost 2,000 years.
So let's hear from Laura.
Yeah.
Welcome. Laura is part of the delegation from Kuwait, and you are a senior researcher at Kuwait Public Authority of Agriculture Affairs and Fish Resources. And you have had education in science, a Master of Science in Marine Environmental Management at the University of York, and a Bachelor in Biology, specialist in zoology and marine science. Yes. And you also worked on the impact of boat traffic on dolphins.
Yeah.
And bottlenose dolphins.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what brings you to COP? Is it work only, or you have a personal passion?
So basically, there is 2 main reasons I'm here. The first one, as a delegate of Kuwait, so representing my country and running the agriculture agenda. The second reason is I'm an environmental activist. I believe in environment, and I believe we have to protect the environments, the animals. And as working in a cattle research institution, I can see the impact of the climate change crisis on the animals on a daily basis. So I believe that being in the COP will help me to address the real problems that we're facing as farmers from Kuwait, or in general as farmers, and to just like move it in a practical, realistic way, what's exactly happening inside the farm, to the table, to the people who can take decision. This is my goal. Hopefully I will achieve it.
Yeah, I got to know you're an animal lover and have a lot of passion for the animals and want to protect them and the farmers.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Yeah. This is mainly the 2 reasons.
Maureen, what brings you to COP? Maureen Goodman is the program director of Brahma Kumaris in the UK and BK representative to UN in Vienna. And you have a long-term involvement in interreligious dialogue, and you represent Brahma Kumaris at the board of religious leaders of the Elia Interfaith Institute, and you work with Living Peace projects, and you are in the Spirit of Humanity Forum Circle. I actually remember you helped us to do the first application for the climate change conference back in 2009.
Right.
So what is for 3 COPs we've been together, right?
Yes.
So what is your driving force to come back again?
Well, it's interesting. You were speaking about the connection with nature. I was brought up in a city, for sure, but I used to travel with my boyfriend and then later husband to Scotland regularly. And one of the places we visited was a spiritual community called the Findhorn community. And that's where I think, got to experience nature itself as a living being. And that really impacted me a lot, and I felt a very strong connection. So it wasn't just something external, nice, something to look at, but I could feel the energy that was alive and that I could connect with that energy. So that's, I suppose, on a personal level. But then seeing the environmental crisis increase, you know, I could see that this is really going to take us down a path where, well, who knows, you know, you can think of the worst case scenario, but we were talking about optimism earlier, so we want to keep that. And being on a spiritual journey, being with the Brahma Kumaris, experiencing the shift in my own consciousness, I could really see that bringing this sort of awareness to people, and especially to leaders, could really help to change the attitude towards the environment from that attitude of dominance and exploitation more towards respect and, you know, being part of nature and wanting to preserve and protect nature. So I was really motivated then to say, okay, if the climate change conferences can help in this regard, or we can give this sort of input, then I'm very interested to be there. I actually came to the COP in Glasgow because I live in the UK and I help with our centres in Scotland, so it's like I had to be involved. But of course then I was very happy to be invited to the next one and the next one, so here I am. Thank you. Yeah.
So it's a quite fantastic work because we are from 3 different faiths and we're here together. Yeah. And it's like a calling, I can hear a calling also somewhere from your belief system, your value system, to do what you can do and to come here. So it's great. So let's look a bit more closely to your work. Marika, can you share how you see the role of the church in the transition to sustainable future? I understand that the church in Stockholm has been active in arranging pilgrims' walks for the future. You have had climate grief sessions for the loss of species. But how far can the church go in helping out, and what can they actually do and contribute to this COP process?
A very good question. And I think to answer that, I have to remind you, as I said before, that the Church of Sweden used to be a state church. So still a majority of the population belongs to the Lutheran Church of Sweden, and which means that we have a lot of, you know, material things, a lot of buildings, a lot of land, a lot of forests, and that the church owns since, you know, more than 1,000 years. And of course, to maintain that in a sustainable way is very important. So in the Church of Sweden, we have 3 goals. The first goal is to be climate neutral by 2030. The second goal is to work for climate justice through our international partners, and for the minority people, the Samis in Sweden, and also for the generation justice, so to say, for the next generation, not to carry all our sins. And the third goal is about value, the change of values. And I think any religion, and also in Sweden, has as its core the values of love and peace, and not just with persons, but also with nature and the animals, so to say. And so the church can, I think, more strongly than maybe the state, work with value change. We struggle, as all other society, you know, the municipalities, the business, to become climate neutral. That is the same struggle as anyone. But the thing is, we can make choices that is not profitable. We don't have to set profit in the first room. We can put the caring for nature and the next generation, the first room. And we want to be a model to others, but also a humble model, because we have a long way to go. We must work hard the next coming 7 years. On the climate justice, I think we in Sweden have been working for a long time with advocacy work for women's rights and minority, and also to help the global south, that the north should take responsibility of the emissions that we have done for so long time. So the values are in place, but it's a bit hard to influence the politics actually to do the same. We can raise money within the church, but that will only go, not all the way that is needed. And we try to find ways to help ourselves, help every one of us to make the value change, because that is actually the next step. I don't think that we so far has really worked with that a lot, but I think that will start now, and in the second phase of our pathway for the climate. And then, as you said, the Pilgrim's Walk for Future is one way of actually taking people out of the church rooms, out of the cities, into the countryside to experience nature, to experience the vulnerability, to sleep, and to also to experience the simple life. Because Christianity have a 1,000-year tradition of monastery life where we can, put forward the idea of a more simpler life without so much of commercialism as before. But we are exactly now starting that journey. We are still quite a lot a part of commercialized lifestyle.
Thank you. And it's very interesting to hear that profit is not the main purpose of the church, or you go non-profit, so I suppose that's help. And also maybe the main obstacle would be to change the values, then the attitude and the mindset towards the whole sustainable transition. Thank you. Maureen, you've been part of our Environment Initiative since the beginning, as I said, and you helped us in the accreditation. So can you share with us how Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative contributes to COP and what are our main activities?
Yeah, sure. In 2009 in Copenhagen, although I wasn't present, but of course was very aware of everything that was going on, I know that we began to share the message that there's a connection between what goes on inside of us, as you say, mindset, attitude, values, but actually our consciousness, our awareness, and what's happening on the external with nature. And, it's very obvious that even when you don't feel so good internally, you're a bit upset or whatever, has an impact on your body. So you can see it immediately. But look at the violence that's happening within human beings today. And you can see the upheaval in nature. It's as if nature can't hold it any longer, because there's such an intimate connection between human beings, or the inner being, and the external. And so when we began to give that message, and you would have been present, I think people really didn't understand it very much. But now people do listen, because people are aware that other things are not working, and it's so important that there's a shift in consciousness so that we begin to live differently, and we shift our very relationship with the earth, and all the creatures, and the whole of nature. And so we bring this awareness, and of course it's not just a message, it's something that we live. You talk about simplicity. Anyway, as Brahma Kumaris, we have a simple lifestyle, vegetarians, many of us are dairy-free, vegan also, and we have certain principles to live by, to buy compassionately, to live economically. We really want to live with simplicity. And I think that you have to walk the talk. If you're giving a message, of course, you've got to begin to do it yourselves. And of course, it goes a little bit further. Not just the lifestyle, but also the projects that we've been able to develop on the basis of this understanding of connection between the consciousness and the climate. And so, for example, sustainable yogic agriculture, and maybe you can say more about it later, but this helps farmers to connect with the land in a different way. And we have in India, where our organization is very big and our headquarters is in Mount Abu in Rajasthan, we have a 1 megawatt thermal solar power plant that provides energy for, I think, 25,000 people. But we are actually one of the single biggest institutional users of solar energy in India. So we've tried to approach it on all levels, from the inner to the outer. So I think there's quite a bit that we are able to contribute.
Thank you for giving that overview.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Laura, you are a researcher and
Yes.
you're working in agriculture research.
Exactly. Yeah.
How far can the technological progress help us to secure a sustainable future, and how to bridge the gap between science and the practical implementation? And how does the values and ethics help?
Yeah,
3 questions
values.
in one.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll start with the first one. I'll be technical, to be honest. I'll take it from a technical perspective. Technology can help, indeed. But if you want to apply the technology, you need a fund. So you need to be supported financially. This is the gap between all the agendas in the COP right now, is the fund. You can provide me with technology, but if you don't provide me with a fund, how can I use this technology? This is how the conflict raised between developing and developed country. It's too technical. And the second one is regarding the value and ethics. I want to tell you something that surprised me at the COP. One of my friends was sitting, and they highlighted the fact that the science in the schools in general in their country, the curriculum of science, they don't highlight the problem, which I was so shocked about it, because I believe the fact that global warming is a crisis that we all contribute in it, and we can technically fix it. But there is half of the problem can be fixed by the community and the society. This is a fact. So not teaching the kids from early age that we have a problem and the impact of problem is affecting our lifestyle. The kids right now thinking that their lifestyle is normal, which is not technically, because they don't know what is the normal. Maybe my grandmother, she lived a normal lifestyle and she enjoyed the nature, but for me, I've never enjoyed it because I thought my lifestyle is normal. So this will also reflect on the other generation as well. So I believe that it's like, if you want to address this problem, start with the community. Everyone have responsibility toward this problem. The mothers have responsibility to teach their kids about this problem and how they need to fix the problem from, as you mentioned, inside out. It's not like a global problem. It is indeed, but it also can be fixed from the house, from the home, from the school, from the teachers. Let's highlight this problem. Let's educate the kids. Let's tell them that this is wrong. We need to protect the nature. The nature is not, it's not like you only need to protect yourself. It's also the environment that you're living within it. So I believe the ethics and the values start from the home, from the mother. This is what I believe, and I encourage all my sisters and all my families, everyone, like, raise your children to love the environment. Raise them to understand that the environment is part from them. It's not, there's environment in you. No, it's all together. We have to understand that we're together. We have to protect each other. And if we protect each other, we can reflect in a healthy way, in a healthy lifestyle. This is how I see it. So yeah, hopefully.
So thank you. So it's you need funding to implement the technology, and we need education.
Yeah.
But I want to carry on with this notion of home and family, because if we are interconnected with nature very closely, it comes up in COP again and again. It also means that we can sometimes feel grief or sadness when the nature is being destroyed in front of our eyes. When I was in Småland in the summer, it was so dry. So the birch trees, they were not green anymore. They were kind of funny green, so dry. And like I could, because it's where I grew up, first time I felt this climate grief. It's like I felt a sadness, like someone had left the body or something. So I understand now this climate grief, what's happening. So I was thinking, because we are people of faith here tonight, maybe you can share how your faith, how your spirituality, how your tradition would respond to the loss of nature and the suffering that comes from it.
For me?
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah.
So, as you know, I'm a Muslim, obviously. So, Islam in general, I will not go in details, but in general, they ask us, whether it's in the Quran, the Holy Quran, or in Prophet Muhammad, they ask us to protect the nature, to protect, to respect the animals as animals, and to respect we believe in animal welfare. This is one of the things that people not addressing, but this is fact. The Holy Quran being addressed these kind of stuff, that you have to respect animals, respect their nature, and you're part of the nature. So I think there are many quotes and statements in the Holy Quran that highlight this. And one of the stories that this lady I mentioned before, that she went to a paradise, we said, because she gave water for a cat. So it's just like it's so small. She's done something that I don't think she will, even if she see God in the future, okay, she will not remember that this is a small thing that she's done, which forgive everything that she's done, which is maybe was bad. So I always see it like have mercy on each other and also on animal and nature. Don't be just have mercy. It's life is easy. Let's enjoy nature. Let's have mercy. And all the religion have the same core, the same beliefs and the same values. Since we all live in the one, in the earth in general, we have to have the same ideas and the core and the values. So just like I always advocate mercy on animals, on people, just relax and enjoy life.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that when we feel that we can do something to make a difference, it helps to alleviate the grief. And I think for me, it's when I hear about the disasters that happen, or, you know, the fact that people really cannot get enough food because of climate issues, you really feel that it's a suffering that's so unnecessary, that doesn't need to happen. In this context, I'm remembering Dadi Janki, who was our former head, and she passed away now about 4 years ago, at the age of 104. So you can imagine a woman full of wisdom. But she was very particular about nature, and she would always say to us, don't give sorrow to the earth. And to the extent, she didn't like it if she saw somebody with stiletto heels. She said, you're giving sorrow to the earth. But not just that, she would make us aware to give something to nature. And I remember in one dialogue, and we have a retreat centre with very beautiful grounds near Oxford, and people have been out in the grounds and they were enjoying the nature and everything, and they came back and they were sharing and saying how beautiful nature was and what they experienced. And Daddy stopped them and said, okay, you were taking from nature, but what did you give to nature? So she turned the whole awareness around, and that really helped me to think, well, my good wishes, pure feelings, good vibrations can actually support nature, and that's very, very important.
So I hear mercy here, and I hear to become a giver here, and also to do action. So, Marika.
Well, I was sitting here and thinking about the Christian spiritual tradition, and I think there are also here two different paths. And at the core, of course, in the Christian faith is Jesus' death and resurrection, and that make us, as a core of our faith, handle life, that life is very fragile, and recognize that as a truth. but also that there is a very strong notion about forgiveness and reconciliation, and that we can actually ask for forgiveness, and we can get new spiritual power to do better. So that is a very important part of Christian faith. But there is also a history within Christian faith where we have interpreted the first part of the First Testament, the creation story, as if human beings are superior of nature, and that the stewardship is about ruling nature over nature, and we have a kind of collective guilt of promoting that idea on the whole world. I would say where Christianity has gone, we have, especially from the last, I would say, 500 years, we have promoted a very instrumentalistic view upon nature, and made nature of lower value than humans. Of course, it is important to work with human rights, but it should not be at the cost of nature's rights. And that is a struggle that I think, when I was young, my parish priest, he taught me that I weren't allowed to think that animals and human beings had the same value. He really said, this is wrong to me. Today in the church, it's totally okay to acknowledge that we as human beings are totally dependent on nature, and that we can talk about fellow beings, not just human beings, but fellow beings. And I think that is a small theological revolution. I have experimented a little bit because I'm a diver. I dive. So for me, it has been a very strong, sorrowful experience to see how the seas have emptied, really become empty, and the coral reefs, died just the last 10 years. And it has been very painful for me personally, and I also feel very much a part of that, because I travel over the world, and I'm a bit of creating this problem. And so we tried to make a liturgy in Stockholm, the capital city of Stockholm, Sweden, a liturgy for mourning, expressing our mourning for animals that were extincted or close to extinctions, and our responsibility, and also with a prayer of forgiveness that was not immediately given, but we had to rest a little bit in our guilt to make it sink in and be turned into a new kind of stewardship, a stewardship where we are, more of the total dependence of nature, and therefore have a relational stewardship, and not a powerful kind of on top of stewardship.
Interesting, very interesting. So to forgiveness, and to move away from to rule nature, but to have a relationship, and mutual relationship, and to accept my contribution to the problem, and accept the guilt, and then move forward. Beautiful. Thank you so much to all of you. So today has been the first day of COP, and you will be here the whole week, and I think you, Marika, also. Maybe you have a few more days. So what are you looking forward to, and in the coming week at COP? Who wants to go first?
It seems me. So, to be honest, I'm optimistic. I'm trying to keep the optimistic side of me. I'm happy that until this point, there is more than 700 million on the loss and damage fund. So hopefully they will dedicate this amount of money, and hopefully it will be increased by the end of this week to the people and nations that need this money. I'm optimistic about different agenda, mitigation agenda. It's too specific, I know. The adaptation agenda. In general, I'm optimistic. I hope that the people who's taking the decision right now they will leave the political issues aside, just like for 5 minutes, and think about the environment, think about the animals. Just like life is short, let's think about it. Let's make sure, like before we leave it, we will leave it in a healthy way that other people will enjoy it. So this is my main hopes right now.
Maybe we should have some kind of animals in COP, like some birds or something that would remind people.
Actually,
of,
right now the temperature is high in the COP, so every time I will be just like sitting, I will be happy. I was like, it's good the temperature is high, so you can experience it when you're waiting outside in the meeting rooms, waiting for the next meeting. Just like experience the temperature. This is exactly what's happening with the animals. Yeah, this is my but still, I'm optimistic. Waiting for the end of this week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I'm already, I feel it's very good to see that the contribution of the faith-based organizations is being highlighted much more. I was able to be at the pre-COP Summit of Faith Leaders at the beginning of last month. And then we heard about a faith pavilion, and I thought it would be some sort of booth, but it's a whole building, and it's really being given prominence. And so I really hope that the voice of faith, which does give that message of not harming, of respect, of working with nature, I hope that somehow can influence the negotiations that are happening. Maybe it's too optimistic, but like you say, you must be as optimistic as possible. And one thing that I learned today, I was very keen to know whether the Loss and Damage Fund was actually a grant or a loan, because previously funds have been loans to the poorer countries. And when I first understood that, I think just last year, I was so shocked, really shocked. But I learned today that it's actually a grant, not a loan. And I think that's really, really important, because it's happened so often that in helping for the rich, when the richer countries have helped poorer countries, they've actually burdened them with greater debt. And so I thought, I hope this doesn't happen in this instance. Otherwise, then we're not really helping at all. And so I think these two things, and I know I'm going to be part of various things with faith communities, and it's really the first time that I think there's been so much emphasis. So I'm waiting to see the results of that.
All of us.
So you have in common the outcome of the Loss and Damage Fund,
Yes.
and you're looking forward to the Faith Pavilion programs. And I know you have a program together there tomorrow.
Yes, we will be. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm also very positive about the faith has been more put into the that it is important, and the contribution from people of faith, that it can contribute a lot to the climate change and what is needed to be done, and the work that lies ahead of us as humanity. And I also see very strongly in this COP that the climate issues unite over faith borders. It's
Absolutely.
Climate is not a key theological theme that we have so different views upon. Actually, it's creation. It's so we have very similar faiths when it comes to relationship to creation. So and that is really something strong. And I think when we experience that we can co-work so much when it comes to the climate issues and the climate justice, and then I think it will be easier to work, continue to work with also world peace issues, because peace is also important to get the funding to go to the right issues and not to driving war and finance war. Well, the other day I was a bit pessimistic. But today I met a representative of the Swedish delegation, and I came to understand that the majority of the countries, also in the Eastern Pacific and so on, are on the same. They want almost the same thing. So there are a big majority of countries that are moving towards the same things. Then there are issues of how to write it. But I have a dream, or not, I have many dreams, but I think maybe for the forthcoming work of mitigation, it might be important that we can talk about fossil fuel, because it will also allow us to really talk of those nations who are totally dependent on the incomes from fossil fuels. And as long as those words are not being put into the documents, we kind of, tend of not talking about it and finding solutions together with those countries. Yes. And that, I think, is blocking the many questions.
So you're looking forward to find solution together and the uniting factor that faith can have.
Yeah.
So let's hear in one word your wish for next week, the outcome of COP, in one word only.
I will leave it here.
Okay, well, if I had to think of the word that comes to me is compassion.
Compassion.
Yeah.
That if there's compassion in the negotiations and people are put at the centre rather than politics and the finance, there'll be a very different outcome.
Sustainable action.
Sustainable action.
2 words, but
2 words. It's accepted.
I think compassion is the word that represents me right now.
Yeah, compassion.
Yeah.
Well, how beautiful. So thank you very much for this very meaningful conversation. And I kind of forgot time, but now it's about time to wrap up. And I have actually asked Marika here to share a prayer with us and with all of you online. And this is an official prayer from the church, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. For the COP.
Yes, it's from the bishops of Sweden.
Yeah.
Let us pray. Eternal God, the whole world is full of your glory. We bear forth the anguish of creation in the time of the climate crisis to you. In your grace, grant us the opportunity to do good, as you created us to co-creators. You have walked the earth as Jesus Christ and lived in our midst. Make us sensitive to the suffering of humankind and to the entire creation. Strengthen us in our endeavors to create a life of dignity, injustice, and solidarity with those who live and will live. Holy Spirit, power of the courage and self-control, you speak to our consciousness. Comfort us when we suffer and are plagued by anxiety. Make us worry when we are numb in the calmness of complacency. Recreate us to become what we are, one humanity under the same sky. Amen.
Such great inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to the end of our panel discussion and meaningful conversation. And special thanks to our speakers, to Marika, to Maureen, to Laura for this program. And let me also thank you all you online for being with us this evening. Special thanks to our patrons and supporters in our growing community. And thanks to our host, the Raj Yoga Center here in Dubai, and the many volunteers who are helping to make this live studio possible. Please do join us tomorrow at the same time for another interesting session of Care, Share and Inspire. For details, visit our website www.echo.brahmakumaris.org. So thanks to our global audience and goodbye from Dubai.